Welcome to the Middle Class VO podcast. It's a very special one, and I guess I wish we had approached this topic before, but now we're here. The world is where it is right now. Kevin Kilpatrick here in Nashville. Bobby Maxwell is in Cincinnati, and we are honored to have with us right now, also in Cincinnati, Krysta Wallrauch, and in Jacksonville, Trey Mosley, who are joining us on a very special edition of the Middle Class VO podcast. Both Krysta and Trey are remarkable voice actors and African-American voice actors, black voice actors, as it were. And everybody knows what's going on in the world right now. And we wanted to have a podcast that talked about diversity in the voiceover business, potential racism that has come up in the voiceover business. And Krysta, first of all, let's start with you. Welcome. How are you?
I think I am probably like most people. For the most part, I'm processing every day, thinking about other people. Feels like there's like maybe a little bit of a heavy cloud, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you just try to find those joyful moments. You look for the good, and you try to keep encouraging people around you. So.
And Trey, what about you? How are you doing right now?
That is a relative question, and it depends on the day you ask.
Yeah.
Today is good. The last week or so, not so much. And most of it just stems from things that have happened to me personally. For one, if we're going to dive right into it.
Let's do it.
My daughter calls me probably around 7 or 8 in the evening. And generally, this kid, well, I can't call her a kid now. She'll be 21, actually a month from today.
All right.
She calls me, and usually when she calls, I know she wants something. She's very independent. So she's not like, hey, Dad, can I get some money? Hey, Dad, I need this. She has her own job. She works and all that kind of thing. So when she called, I was like, hey, what's up? And she was like, I got some things on my mind. And I'm like, okay. Last time we had this talk, it was some knucklehead guy that, was trying to date her or whatever. So I'm like, all right, let me put on the dad hat because here it comes. And what came out of her mouth was, I don't understand. And I said, understand what, baby? Why do they hate us so much? And it kind of, well, not kind of, it just knocked me right out. She was like, I don't understand why they hate us the way they do. We didn't do anything wrong. I just don't understand. Why is it that way? And I'm sitting here dumbfounded, trying to elicit a response that would even sound remotely, sensible. And I had to question it myself. Like, why do they hate us so much? And my wife was in the other room, and I knew she was listening because I had put her on speakerphone. And I said, well, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's a hard question to answer. And we just, without going too much into detail, we just tried to talk to her and kind of console. I mean, sobbing because she has white friends. The school that she went to was predominantly white, and she was bullied as a kid. So already she has it ingrained to have fear, and now you have fear from it's a different type of fear. It's not just fear of, hey, I may get beat up by some kid that doesn't like me. Now it's a fear of possibly getting beat up by someone that hates you because you don't look like them or talk like them or act like them or whatever it is, it's not like them. And one of the things that she said that really raised my eyebrow, she's like, it's funny how they like to hear us rap or dance, or they like the swag in our voice when we talk. It's like they want to be us until it's time to be us. And I said, baby, you answered the question. That's in some cases that's what it is. Sometimes they want to be us until it's time to be us because they don't really understand what it's like to be us 24 hours a day. You know, they see us, and when I say us, I really had to tell her, you know, it's different from the celebrities that are on TV versus the 9 to 5ers like your mom is, folks like me who don't work in front of a camera. It's a little different for us. Whereas these folks that are projected into the limelight or in the spotlight, so to speak, you know, they have a certain persona and folks gravitate to that. Us, not so much. So we are seen as different. And I've even heard people say, I remember there's a old retired athlete. His name was Bobby Mitchell. He was a running back. And he talked about how, and just to show you how far back this goes, this was in the 50s. He talked about how one of his teammates made a tackle. I'm sorry, he got tackled, and one of his teammates rushed to his aid, and the guy that tackled him was also black, but his teammate was white. And he said, hey, you know, you N-word, get off our guy. And Bobby's looking at him like, you know I'm black too.
Oh, man.
And then he goes, well, that's different, Bobby. You play with us. And come on, let's go to the next play. And that in itself is kind of what we go through every day. You know, to certain individuals and white individuals, if they're friends with you, you know, you're their guy. But then to that individual that's not their guy, it's like they see us as two different people when we're all the same. And that bothers me to no end.
Wow. That's just, my mouth was kind of opening several times there, just going, wow, you know, to hear it is, I'm glad we're doing this podcast. And I hope that a lot of people listen because this is so important and eye-opening. How is your business as a Black person going? Let's put COVID aside. How is it going for you in terms of getting enough work, getting the work that you want to get for as long as you've been in your career? Are you on an upward trend? Is it difficult? Just can you talk a little bit about that, Krysta?
I think for the most part, it's been consistent. I would not, for myself personally, say that it has increased, but it is consistent. It is ongoing. I do a lot of marketing, and I really, more than anything, have just been trying to make sure that my clients are okay. This is, you know, everyone feels awkward and scared and are experiencing anxiety. So nothing about this is comfortable. And so that's kind of how I view it. I'm still going to work. You know, I'm still getting auditions and booking jobs and all that good stuff. So,
what about clients, Trey? Do you find that are the majority of your clients white or are they Black? How does that break down?
So, I guess I can kind of piggyback on Krista's response. It hasn't increased nor has it decreased, but it's a nice ripple in the pond. A lot of my clients are not African American, are not Black. Um, but the few clients that I have that are keeping me busy, I'm proud to say that they are very cognizant of what's going on. I've actually had a couple of my agents call me directly, and we chatted for a couple of minutes, and there's like, what do I need to do to better understand? And that's a question, and I tried not to answer it with anger, because I've had my white friends call and say, Man, what can I do to help? What can I do to understand?" And I said, well, if you really want to understand, the first thing you need to do is listen.
Mhm.
Just listen. There's a reason these young kids, um, middle-aged folks, and even some folks well into their 70s are out here raising hell, and they are mad as hell because it comes to a point. When are you going to listen to us? When are you going to take what we say and really give a damn and really care? This young dude that was, let's call it what it was. He was killed. He was murdered. This is now in a long line of travesties that have happened like this with law enforcement, and not just with law enforcement. There was the guy, oh, his name escapes me, Aubrey. You know,
Mhm.
the dude went out for a run, and according to, now I was watching some of the proceedings today. They felt, and this is the sad thing, they felt they were doing something honest by making a quote unquote citizen's arrest. I'm like, but arresting him because of what? And then if you're gonna make a citizen's arrest, you don't have to draw arms. If you're man enough to stop this guy and corral him, then take him down with your hands and see what happens. Maybe you'll be able to hold him until real authorities get there, but that didn't give any warrant to take his life. So I say to anyone that's listening and you want to help, first thing to do is listen. Um, After you've listened, then I need you to act. It's one thing to say, I hear you, I'm here for you, we're here for you. I need a little bit more than that. Um, you can listen and hear me all day, but then what are you doing to help? So by that, um, find out if there's a rally. I shouldn't say rally, that makes it sound extreme, but find out if there are folks that are going to be demonstrating or protesting in your area. Go out there. If you're afraid to go out there, then give supplies, give them snacks, give them water. Um, I saw a video where some cops actually snatched, it was like a case of water out someone's hands, and they started poking holes in it because they didn't want them to protest on the street. And it was peaceful. Folks were just walking, and they just snatched the bottles of water and took them out of their hands like, no, you can't help. So when I say act means being involved. If you see, if you see stuff like that
It's okay.
happens, and maybe you're afraid to confront the cops directly. We live in an age now where news is just as fast as you pulling out your phone. Film it, get it to an outlet that is not afraid to show it. And if they won't show it, then use your own social media platform. But then you have to understand the risk that comes with that. The risk that we take every day is, a lot of folks, I feel, for fear of what others think, they see what's going on around them, and it's like, well, I don't want to be judged based on what I do. Well, welcome to being Black in 2020.
Right. Can I jump in real quick
Please.
and just add something to that? Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time, and lots of Facebook friends tons of comments whenever, I put a post up, whether it's about the dog or, my life, whatever. I've posted twice in the past week about BLM. I am shocked at how few people are responding. And I think, Krysta and I talked about this earlier, I think it's fear. And I think they don't know what to say. And it's easier for them to ignore it than make a comment. And that's part of the whole problem here is we're not communicating.
Well, I wish that was a luxury we had, but I wish we could ignore it and it'll go away. But my father, his father, my mother, and now me, that's something you can't ignore.
Right.
What about as it pertains to voiceover? Krysta, have you, in your career, have you observed or felt the presence of racism at any time during your voiceover career?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And please forgive the naivete of the question. Obviously, I can't experience what you experience. And go as far with it to discuss as you want or as little as you want.
Well, first off, you don't expect those things when someone hires you. And so, a lot of times if I get hired because I'm Black, I either don't sound Black enough, or in one instance, I was in a live session and one of the gentlemen said, "You keep saying axe." And I stopped because my mother was in the Air Force and I'm an educator, and my mother was very strict about enunciating. So I know I was recording. I know I never said that. And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Well, let me do it again." And when I finished that session, I repeated that line again and again. And I went back to my audio. Not once did I say the word AX. Oh. It was always ask.
Wow.
And so that's just one thing. But you have to kind of hold yourself together.
Hearing.
Yeah, that's what he was hearing.
That's what they chose to hear.
Yes. And so I couldn't say to my client, "I have never said that, but if you want me to pronounce it that way, I can." But at the same time, it was hold that anger and that frustration and keep working because they're paying you to do this and you know how to do it.
Oh.
Trey, what about you?
Oh, yeah. I had a client in the Netherlands, and so it's one of these strange things where growing up as a kid by certain peers and friends, I was always the guy, even though I spoke with slang and, talk with slang and whatnot, I also enunciated my words, and they'd be like, "Oh man, that they would like he talked like a white boy," and with them I knew it was in jest, but then the full circle of it all is I was doing this narration for this this Dutch company or whatever, and the guy was like, I don't understand. And I'm like, "What is it that you don't understand?" And now they're speaking in their native language, which, of course, I have no idea what they're saying. But I think the main producer did not speak English that well, so they were translating for him. And they were saying that he wants you to sound more Black. I said, "Well, this don't rub off." So now in my head, instead of being angry, I decided to have some fun with it. I said, "Well, how Black does he want me? Does he want Southern Black down here, sir?" And I said, "Does he want an angry Black man?" I said, "What kind of Black does he want?" So
Oh, Trey.
There is an awkward silence that, as the country folks say, you could hear a rat piss on cotton. And then, so then he comes back and he says, no, he does not want that, but he wants you to sound good black. I said, good black?
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. What they were trying to say but could not articulate, he wanted a more professional tone because he thought what I was saying was not quote unquote black enough. So he wanted me to use more of a heavier timbre in my voice, but still sound professional. So after all of that, and now I can hear the the throat clearing. I said, so then I go, is this something he would prefer? A more serious tone like this? And then I hear silence. Yes, that is what he would like. I said, well, then why didn't he just say that? I'll be happy to do it in this tone. I said, as a matter of fact, I'll speak like this for the entire session. And I proceeded to do so, and we did the session. And when I tell you they apologized profusely, they almost paid me double, I guess, just for pain and suffering. They're like, we are so sorry. Please excuse our lack of translation. And I'm like, all you had to do was simply ask. And this is what I mean by listen. You know, if there's something you're trying to convey and maybe you can't get the words to come out, don't assume. Ask us. We'll trust me. We will set you straight. If we don't do nothing else, we'll get you right. We'll straighten you out real fast. But I've had that happen numerous times where, and kind of like you said, Krysta, I've had things where I've said straight, and they're like, did he say straight? I'm like, nope. I said straight. Or I may say asked. Did he say asked? I did not. My mother taught for 40 years. If there's nothing I don't know is how to talk and speak. I said I did not say asked. I said asked. Oh, it just sounded like, I said, well, perhaps on your end. I said, maybe we should disconnect, source connect, and reconnect. Because I ain't asked nobody nothing. Now, if you give me a script for Southern dialect, so I sure can ask you some questions.
No doubt.
But that's not what you asked me for.
Let me ask you about auditions. The roles that you're getting for auditions, whether it be from your agents. And Trey, I know you're with Atlas, right? So, I know Krysta, you have several agents, and pay to plays if you're on them, or production houses. Do you get mainly auditions that are asking for a black role? Do you get, national jobs that could be either way? And in this, how do you feel about any other race, white person, Hispanic, whatever, trying to do a black role? I know that this has come up in the business big time in the past year. I get African American jobs at least daily. Of course, I'm not going to do them, but tell me how it is for you in the audition world, Krysta.
Okay. Most of the time, I can audition for just about anything, and unless it says, if the role says Caucasian on it, I won't touch it, because they're not asking for someone who sounds like it. They're saying they want a white person to do this role. It's the language that I see. I get a lot for African American with a deeper timbre, warmth, all of that. But I also get, recently, I'm getting a lot of stuff that says Viola Davis on it.
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm getting that quite a bit. And I really study her, mostly just to see her passion and her heart. And it helps me to emulate her.
That's why I study her too, by the way.
For passion.
I got an audition with the same characteristic. They didn't name any male actors, It was
Right?
it was for an African American male, but they chose Viola Davis as the catalyst for the person to listen to, and I understand why. She's very powerful. She's very passionate
Yes.
when she speaks.
Yes.
This particular spot was for one of those, we're here, we care type of spots. So they
Right.
wanted that conveyed. So yeah, she's a very popular person right now.
Yes. Yes, she is.
Yeah. So that's basically me on that end. You go, Trey.
All right, let's have some fun then.
You're so funny.
I tend to do the opposite. If there, and I think that's just the rebel in me. It's such a blurred line in some aspects, and here's what I mean by that. So to answer the first part of your question, Bobby, um, if there's a dude or a young lady that can sound or mimic how African Americans sound, and she gets the part, I'm not all the way mad. What pisses me off is when you create a whole persona around a sound, and you know that you are white as the driven snow. And then you create this entire website, you create this entire persona. You are now, it's different when, okay, Krysta auditioned for it, so and so auditioned for it, you auditioned for it, and you got it. At the end of the session, you're still who you are, not this whole person you created. Is
Right.
like Jekyll and Hyde, and now people are going to you because they feel that you are a go-to person because you have this certain sound, and then when they
Right.
realize, you mean she's not a, yeah. That's where I have issue. So I've had roles that have come my way, and they've asked, for a Caucasian male. First, I'm thinking, well, why'd you send it to me if you know I'm not a Caucasian male? So to play devil's advocate, I audition for it, and I do it because I feel maybe I can bring a perspective that they perhaps did not know was there.
I like that.
So if it asks for, Caucasian male with the ones that I tend to get with gravitas and an authoritative voice, I can do that. And I'll throw the read in and send it off. And I'm like, we'll see. And then I get an email, hey, you're shortlisted for this thing. I'm like, I said, the one for the Caucasian? Yeah, they said you did something different. I said, yeah, I woke up black today. That's what I did different.
Was your Madden audition for a black person?
Not at all.
Wow.
The audition said they wanted someone that sounded like a DJ or not exactly a game show announcer, but someone with high energy. So the role that I play in this game, so typical it's atypical from a regular announcer. First and 10 from the 15, he's back to throw. It's more, if you took a club atmosphere and put it in a football stadium, so now the announcer's not so stuffy. He's like, all right, y'all, it's third down. That's what I portray. So I make it the atmosphere very fun and energetic. And I was telling Kevin earlier, it's crazy how it's taken off. I remember when I got the audition, I didn't know it was for Madden. My agent just said, hey, I just got this through the wire. It's a video game company and they make sports. It was very generic, and I think they did that on purpose. And they're just looking for someone who can, be an announcer / DJ for this game. I read a couple lines. She got back to me in 2 days. She's like, can you go to Orlando? They want to do a face-to-face. And Jacksonville from Orlando, I could drive in my sleep. That was 2 hours. So I got up the night before and drove down early because I wanted to beat the traffic. I said, I'll get a hotel. shouldn't be that expensive for an overnight stay. Serendipity happened because the hotel where I was, as I opened my curtains to let a little sun in, right across the expressway, I'm like, that looks like EA. I said, I didn't know they recorded down here. And so my agent says, here's the address. And as I'm driving, it's like a less than a mile drive. I'm like, oh, am I getting closer to this building? And I'm like, oh, it couldn't be. I said, but Madden's already out, or it's coming out. Like, it couldn't be. So I get there. Sure enough, it's in the EA's, their Florida headquarters. I'm sitting in the lobby. Some guy, and I've never seen him again since. He's like, you Trey? I'm like, yeah. Hey man, can't wait to hear what you're gonna do for Matt. I'm like, for who? And he had this look on his face like, I shouldn't have said that. Well, hey, good luck in the audition. He takes off. Never seen him again.
Oh my gosh.
I get
That's
up.
so cool.
Yeah, I get upstairs and I'll cut to the chase. So what was supposed to be a 15-minute audition, I was there for almost an hour. They just kept giving me lines. Okay, say it like this. I said, hey, if I'm here any longer, this will be a session and you'll have to pay me. And it was like, all right, we've heard enough then. And then a week later, my agent called and was like, pack your bags. And they want you to come down and spend a week. Everything is paid for at the Sheraton. You just come to the studio 4 hours a day, and you'll be the new voice on this particular game mode. And the rest is history.
Oh, man. Congratulations on that. That's phenomenal. What a feeling that must have been.
Yeah,
I
that's pretty cool.
was. If you ever watched Jerry Maguire where he's singing Free Fallin', I wasn't singing Free Fallin', but I was singing something, and I called my wife. I said, guess who gonna be on Madden? And so now she's in her office, she's hollering, and they're like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. But we couldn't tell. That was the hardest thing, is not telling anybody.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm seeing commercials. I can't say a word. I told my mom, hey, I'm going to be in the video game. What is, I can't say. I was like, I am not messing this up. This is big. I can't say a word. And they were like, we're going to drop it the first game of the NFL season, which was the Bears and the Packers, and it'll debut then. And they flew me out to Chicago where the game was because they had a tournament that was going to debut this new mode. So they were like, yeah, so you're going to be in Grant Park in Chicago, and there's going to be a big Superstar KO tournament, and you're going to be co-hosting it. Like, what?
Wow.
Okay, sure. So while I was out of town, I told my wife, I said, listen, the game is they're gonna debut it as a download. I need you to download the game while I'm gone. So she downloads it, and when she hears my voice, welcome to, and she just starts screaming, it's you! So she is having a moment. She goes from screaming and hollering to now she's like sobbing. I'm just so proud of you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love
So
it.
that was a great moment. But
Yeah.
in a nutshell, I've had a lot of roles that have come to me that I know, if it doesn't say specifically African American, it'll say urban, it'll say swagger, it'll say street smart, someone who doesn't take no BS. And I'm like, okay, why don't y'all just say what you really want?
Yeah, once again, getting back to the communication. Just talk, right?
Yeah, and just say what you want. So
Yeah.
and that's both sides. You know, if you're gonna audition for those type of roles, just be you at the end of the day. There's no need to create this whole online person, and not to go into detail of who the person was, because like you said, that subject has been touched in every aspect. I think authenticity now is going to be even more important, because folks are getting tired of it. You know, I understand we portray different characters for a living, but at the same time, give the folks who you're really targeting a chance to do the work.
Yep.
I would hope that things are certainly, I would hope, I don't know, but I would hope and pray that things would not get worse. Krysta, can you see things getting better in our industry after everything that's happened recently?
You know, I don't really know how to speak into that because you're talking about hearts. And if someone's heart is not to mix with Black people or minorities in general, I don't ever really see that changing. But the response of the hearts that are changed will be different. That's what we really need to see. This is not ever going to be eradicated. That's like saying everyone in the whole world can look at each and every individual as a mom who raises a child with special needs, and so people are afraid of him because you're afraid of what you don't understand. That's like saying everybody can do that. I don't ever see that happening. But our response can change. People can step out so that if they see someone of a different race in trouble, instead of looking at the coat that they wear, out of the love in their heart, they can say, is everything okay? This seems not to be necessary, the escalation of this. That's all it is. It's one person at a time.
Yep.
What about you, Trey?
Yeah, that's, I think what's going to happen as far as, in our industry, it's going to, I don't want to say force a lot of people, but a lot of folks are going to have to make a decision and say, okay, well, I know that there are a lot of VO folks of color that are very talented, that are very deserving. Who's going to be the first person to take that leap and say, I'm going to give this person a shot. I'm going to give this person a chance. You know, I've known her for years, and I may have sent her, a bit part, or sent him a bit part, but, I got this big project and I feel they can do it. You know what? No audition needed. I know you can handle this. It's yours if you want it. We don't mind auditioning, but just make it fair. It's almost like in the NFL, every year they have these Black coaches interview for these positions, and they're only doing it because they made a rule to do so.
Yeah.
Don't have me audition because you feel it's an obligation. If you feel I can do the damn work, then let me do the work.
Right.
It's if I stumble and fall on my face, then say, you know what, I gave him a shot, and even then, so it's like, okay, and let me make sure I say this the way it's intended. Everything to me is twofold. I always see both sides. So if you're that white producer, casting director, that white production shop that gives me a shot, and let's say I come out the gate stumbling a bit, you have to also realize I've been fighting for that shot, for that opportunity, and now that it's here, I'm like, oh shit, it's happening. I have to kind of pull back some because I'm excited that I finally get the opportunity, but I don't want you to perceive that because I came out the gate kind of slow that maybe he wasn't ready. I'm elated that you even thought about me. So now I have to calm myself down and say, okay, you are a professional. Breathe, because this is what you fought for. This is what you said, okay, give us a shot, give us a shot, give us a shot. Here's your shot. Now do the work and not only prove to them that they didn't make a mistake, but now I have to prove to myself that, I earned it and I'm worthy of it. I always knew I could do it. Now let me show you what I can do.
Yeah. I don't know if either one of you are on Voice 123. I think you are, Krysta. I was really pleasantly surprised earlier today when a window popped up right in the middle of like I think I was doing a search or something, and the window popped up with, it says, "We stand with hashtag Black Lives Matter. The purpose of Voice 123 is to give everyone a voice, irrespective of race, ethnicity, religion, or gender." And goes on and says, "We hope you will too." That's a start.
Impressive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually got a job through them just this week, so that was kind of cool.
That's good to hear. What is your thoughts, Krysta, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on, because this is just going to give me, Whitey McWhite, some perspective on, and I'm being serious. What is your thoughts on when you see white people standing up for BLM or saying, do you roll your eyes, or does it make you feel better? How does it make you feel?
Wow.
Do you find it insulting?
No, not if they not if they really mean it. Not if they're really meaning it. And that it's not just because right now the cameras are on.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody's watching, because I don't know where they live, and I don't know what happens when all of this dies down. If the proof for me, as much as I love seeing it, I want to see it in action. People say a lot of things. I'm not a person of a lot of words. I like to listen. And I believe that love is an action and not words. And so I appreciate the gesture, but how do we implement it so that it's an ongoing thing?
Well stated, Trey.
I hear that. Yeah, I'm not from Missouri, but you got to show me.
The show me state.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, hey, you can sell me a dream, but if you take an active part in trying to make a dream come true, then you have my attention. And that's why I said, 30 something minutes ago, listen and then act. Show me that you're serious about it. The time for the I hear yous and we're with yous has come and gone. What are you going to do? And if you are genuine in your actions, I can respect that more than you being genuine in your words, because you can say anything just for the sake of saying it. And like Krysta said, when the cameras are off and the microphones are put away, and I'm sitting here in my house looking out the blinds in fear, and you may be sitting in your house eating steak and lobster, what are you doing to help impact what's going on to those in need, to those that, if they're not affected, they will be affected in one way or another. Speaking of being affected, there was a rally here. I keep saying rally. There was a demonstration here in Jacksonville, and a good friend of mine, actually in the corporate world, she was my trainer, and she some guys jumped on the hood and roof of her car while she was trying to leave the demonstration. I had another friend in North Carolina get pepper sprayed and have a tear gas can thrown directly at her.
Wow.
So when I say I need you to act, if they're marching for what they believe in and for what I believe in, either you're going to be with them in solidarity in the actual marching, or say, hey, it's going to be rough out there, but I know if you put this kind of material on or use this kind of stuff to get the pepper spray out, help us. If you can't be out there with us, at least support us.
Yep.
We support you. I support you.
I know.
Yeah.
I love you, Bobby.
Love you too.
I appreciate
For
y'all
sure.
for doing this.
Well, thank you. I think that's a good point to wrap it all up. And, Trey, you said it well. If you speak out, act out. I think that's how you could put it. And from my perspective, I want to be better. I want to be a better person. I want our industry to grow from all this. I don't want it to regress. I hope we start seeing castings that are indicative of everybody getting opportunities, and I hope casting people will see that, why put your references as Tom Hanks, Jeff Bridges all the time? Why, it's just beyond me why that happens. And, today I got an audition, though, that said Tom Hanks, Jeff Bridges, Denzel Washington, and
And Viola Davis.
Yeah, and Viola Davis. And I'm like, okay, this is certainly a reaction, but hopefully it'll be a permanent reaction. That's all I can say and hope.
Can I add one more thing about that?
Of course.
So, casting directors and production folks, if you're listening, understand, especially when you're casting for black men, we don't all sound alike. Because I say that because I look at some of the specs and it will have Lawrence Fishburne and then it'll have Dave Chappelle. And I'm like, I need you people, or your PAs or whoever, to really look at the copy and say, what sound are we looking for? Because I can do a Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, that's Lawrence right there.
Right?
But Chappelle.
I can't do a Dave Chappelle. Now, what I can take from that is they either want the copy to be very dramatic or they want someone that's very comical. But I would submit to you, specify, we want a more dramatic tone a la a Lawrence Fishburne. But if you can pull off something more comical like a Dave Chappelle, we'll listen to that too. Because now you'll have brothers who will say, okay, yeah, I can do the Lawrence Fishburne all day. I can't do the Chappelle. And they'll know not to try to do that. Mm-hmm. And they'll give you the Lawrence Fishburne. And then you'll say, okay, out of, 30 auditions we got, looks like 23 of them are more leaning towards Fishburne and not so many towards Chappelle, or it may be flip-flop. But at least you'll know, because you specified it exactly what you wanted, then you'll get what you want. Because I get that all the time, where I get auditions in the spectrum of actors that they have. And then I look at the casting notes where they want, quirky or aloof. And I'm like, Don Cheadle is not quirky and aloof in any of his roles that I've seen him in. So pay more attention to your specs and really think about what type of voice, what type of actor you want for the role, and who you really want them. And I dabble in coaching. I'm not a coach by no means, but like beginners and basic beginners students, and I tell them, sometimes if you see a spec and it says they want you to sound like Lawrence Fishburne, it's not a sound alike, but for the type of copy that it is, he has a very dramatic voice. He has a lot of weight to his voice. So they want something that may be intense, something dramatic. Sometimes he does a lot of narration. So they want you to be able to tell a story. So don't try to impersonate him, but just his demeanor and how he carries himself. That's what they're looking for in the voice. So give us something that will allow us to really put on display what we have. You can't put us all in a box. And they're talented comedic voice actors. They're very talented dramatic voice actors. And there's some you can put right in the middle, and depending on what day of the week can give you both. Mm-hmm. But just tell us what you want. That's all.
Thanks, guys. This has been awesome.
Thank you. It's an honor.
And next time we do it again, hopefully it be something fun.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you bringing some levity, Trey. You certainly helped the situation.
Not a problem. My pleasure. Like I said, I was glad to do it when you reached out to me. It has to be done, man. And maybe this is the first step of many other discussions and podcasts within our community that bring some awareness to this. So my pleasure.
Before we wrap up here, guys, Krysta, how can casting directors and agents reach out to you? What's your contact, your email if you want?
My email is Krysta@KrystaWallrauch.com. And if you want me to spell it, I can.
Yeah, go ahead and spell that out, please.
Krysta at KrystaWallrauch.com.
Perfect. Trey, what about yourself?
And I can attest and confirm because I emailed her the other day. I can be reached at Trey, T-R-E, at Trey Mosley, TREMOSLEY.com. And you can also go to my website, which is the same, TreyMosley.com. And I am ready to work.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been enlightening. And let's all be better people.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you this, Kevin, you and Bobby are better people, though. The people who are better are the people who are saying, what can we do? How do we do this? Though that shows that you're trying to understand. So thank you for that.
That's the act. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That is the act.
Or the acts.
Yep.
Stop it now.
That's what
Sorry,
we call
I had
shade. Oh, boy.
Oh.
Love you guys.
Y'all are awesome. Love you.